you've been missing out on thousands of dollars, and you didn't even know it. For years, veterans across the United States have been told to wait, to reapply, to navigate a system built on confusion and delays. Meanwhile, critical changes that could impact your VA disability benefits, we're talking real money like $4,000 lump sums and $1,750 monthly increases, have quietly been pushed forward without you even knowing. That ends today. There's a new veterans order under Donald Trump's latest push, and if you haven't taken a close look at how this affects your VA disability payments, you could be leaving life-changing money on the table. This isn't one of those empty promises or recycled updates from last year. This is a real-time shift in how disability benefits are being calculated, approved, and paid out, and the numbers aren't small. We're seeing new thresholds that could fast-track your eligibility, especially if you've been denied in the past. Veterans who served in specific eras, faced particular medical conditions, or who have been classified under certain ratings are now getting a second chance, and in some cases, a much bigger payout. If your disability rating hasn't been reevaluated recently, or if you think your condition deserves a higher percentage, this new order could be your breakthrough. Here's the truth: the system has changed. And if you're still operating like it's 2016 or even 2020, you're doing it wrong. The time to check your eligibility, your rating, and what you're owed is now. The opportunity is bigger than ever. And what we're about to break down in this video could be the most important VA update you've heard all year. Stick with this: your benefits, your back pay, and maybe even your financial future could depend on it. Let's start with what's really going on behind the headlines. A lot of veterans are hearing rumors about big payouts, $4,000 lump sums, $1,750 monthly boosts, but what's actually driving these numbers? Well, under this new veterans order connected to Trump's push to reshape the VA system, the focus is back on reevaluating service-connected disabilities with more urgency and fairness. For too long, the review process has been slow, outdated, and, quite honestly, unfair to those who gave everything for this country. Veterans have been stuck in limbo, waiting for appeals, fighting for upgrades to their ratings, or trying to prove conditions that should have been recognized long ago. Now, here's what's changed. This new move isn't just about words, it's about dollars showing up in bank accounts. VA disability compensation is getting recalibrated under this initiative, with fresh attention on veterans who were previously underrated or misclassified. And yes, that includes you if you've been sitting on a rating that hasn't moved in years, or if you've been denied entirely in the past for what should have been a recognized condition. Trump's veterans order is pushing the VA to move faster, to take a second look, and to compensate fairly based on updated medical guidelines and exposure risks that weren't even acknowledged in older reviews. A huge part of this change involves reassessments. The VA is now being instructed to automatically revisit some cases without veterans having to beg or resubmit piles of paperwork. If you're someone who served during periods of burn pit exposure, Gulf War illness, Agent Orange fallout, or post-9/11 conflicts, there's a good chance your case is already on the radar. And what's even more powerful is that this isn't limited to combat wounds, chronic pain, PTSD, respiratory conditions, and even secondary conditions that developed over time are getting serious reevaluation. In plain terms, if your original rating didn't reflect the full impact of your condition, there's now a mechanism to fix that, and fast. So, let's talk money. Where are those big figures, the $4,000 and $1,750 coming from? In many cases, veterans who qualify for a rating increase are entitled to retroactive back pay. That means if the VA now agrees that your disability should have been rated higher years ago, you could be owed thousands in past due compensation. We've seen real cases where veterans received lump sums of $4,000, $7,800, even over $10,000 depending on how far back the adjustment goes. And from that point on, their monthly payments rise, sometimes by $1,750 or more, depending on the final rating and any dependents involved. This is real money showing up for real people, not just in a spreadsheet or a hypothetical chart, but in VA award letters and direct deposits. But here's where it gets even more important: you don't have to wait for the system to find you. If you've been feeling like your rating doesn't match the severity of what you live with day to day, you can request a reevaluation right now. And here's the best part, thanks to these recent changes, the process has been streamlined. More claims are being reviewed digitally. Medical records are being pulled faster. And with new presumptive conditions being recognized under the updated lists, it's easier than ever to make a strong case without hiring expensive legal help or waiting months just to hear back. Let's pause for a second, because this matters. If you're not checking your rating, your benefits summary, and your claims history right now, you could be missing one of the biggest windows of opportunity we've seen in the last decade. This is not some election year promise that will disappear after the headlines fade. The infrastructure has already started shifting. Claims are being processed differently. And more claims are being approved without veterans having to go through long, drawn-out appeals. This is happening, and those who act now stand to gain the most. Another piece that veterans don't always realize is how the VA calculates disability ratings when there are multiple conditions involved. Many folks think if they're rated at 40% for one issue and 30% for another, that adds up to 70%. But the VA uses a different method, a combined rating system, and that's where many veterans are shortchanged simply because they don't understand the math. With this new push from Trump's order, there's added pressure on the VA to clearly explain these combinations, correct miscalculations, and give more transparent updates. That means if your conditions were rated separately and not combined correctly, you might be due a major adjustment and more money. There's also a renewed focus on dependents. If you have a spouse, children, or even a dependent parent living with you, your VA disability payments could increase significantly. And yes, these additional amounts are often retroactive too. One veteran shared his story recently of going from $1,200 a month to over $2,800 just because his dependents weren't properly counted for years. Once it was corrected under the new system, everything changed, and it didn't take him a lawyer or a miracle. Just the right information at the right time. Let's be honest, navigating the VA system can be frustrating. And for many of you watching, it's probably felt like you've had to fight for every inch of recognition. But the tide is turning. For the first time in a long time, we're seeing structural pressure from the top, and that includes Trump's administration and ongoing political forces, to correct the record, pay veterans fairly, and speed up the compensation process. It's not perfect, but it's happening. And it's exactly why you need to be proactive now, not next year, not when it's too late, but right now. If you're not sure where to begin, start with your benefits account or VA profile. Look at your current disability rating. Review the last time your claim was updated. Make a list of any conditions that have worsened or developed since your last review. Consider speaking with a VA accredited representative. Many of them offer free help, and they can walk you through what forms you need to submit, what records to gather, and how to present your case. Don't sit on this just because the system used to be slow. That excuse doesn't hold anymore. The rules have changed, and the benefits are finally catching up with the service. Let's bring it full circle. If you serve this country and are living with conditions tied to that service, you deserve every dollar, every benefit, and every acknowledgement this nation has to offer. The recent push under Trump's Veterans Order is giving new life to old claims, uncovering underpaid benefits, and putting real money in the hands of the people who earned it the hard way. The question now is, will you take the next step, or will you let the system keep shortchanging you? Because one thing is clear, the opportunity is real. The changes are in motion. And for thousands of veterans across the U.S., life is already starting to look a lot different.